Hello, Braveheart. You know what time it is? It's time for a little stretch and snack. I'm ZGALA, aka Aunt Angel. In case you don't know, now you know. And I'm silly, and I like to sing my life a little bit. And also check in with my body regularly, and hopefully encourage you to check in with your body too, because it's the one thing you can't live without. As usual, I'm a little bit silly. I'm a little bit messy-haired. I'm not late for dinner. I had a really good dinner. But I might still be singing my life a little bit. For now, let's just get started. I've been working doubles, shifts. I don't know if we can call it that, but 2 jobs with one body. And this body's a little tired because in between the working, it hasn't been sleepsin'. That's all right. I'm gonna stretch it out, shake it off. Do a little bit of deep breathing and just free arm swinging. It's one of my favorites. I carry a lot of tension in my arms. How about you? I think a lot of us do. Because if you're doing things like this or like this, that's the clicking motion. In case you're wondering, some other motions that you might be doing with your fingers, and those little repetitive motions will get you. The big ones will get you too, but it might be surprising how much the little ones will get you. Enough yammering, let's get into some stretching, a little bit of yoga. I'm going to start with just rooting myself into the center of the earth, a little Tadasana, relaxing the shoulders, checking with the alignment from the center of the earth to the center of the universe and me in between. And let's start with a step back with the left foot into a moderate lunge. Pull your back hip forward and your forward hip back. Tuck the tailbone under a little so that you're nice and long and strong through the torso there. Your feet are on relatively parallel lines and your hips are on relatively perpendicular line. That requires that closing of the hips. Bring the arms up and down in front. Sharp focus on the fingertips. Roll those shoulders down and back. Got a lot of tension in those shoulders right now. I like to practice shifting my focus from what I call sharp focus to soft eyes. So sharp focus, I'm focusing on my fingertips. And then soft eyes, I'm gazing out at the imaginary horizon and noticing the peripheral view with a more soft-eyed gaze, and then bring that back. Sharp focus. This is actually really good for your brain, good for your mood. Might not seem like much, but it's more than you think. So sharp focus on the fingers. Don't forget to breathe and smile, and then soft focus out at the horizon or the imaginary horizon, peripheral view, and then again, sharp focus on the fingers. And now let's swing that back foot onto the perpendicular line and then follow the left finger across the body. It's good for the balance, gazing out past each arm, checking in with the alignment. And now we got a open hip sensation. This knee is aiming toward the wall behind. I'm gonna pull the britches up. It's a good time to remind you, you don't have to brush your hair, put on any special outfit, or even do any special moves to check in with your body. Let's slide that long leg out a little bit more and bend from the hips, coming down to lock this right elbow and knee against each other for torque and support, and lift that left arm, gazing up past those fingertips. Still breathing and smiling. And then let's wrap this around the back for an additional twist. You can reach for that opposite thigh if that works. Try not to collapse or fall over. But if you do, tuck and roll with it, I like to say. Gaze out past that long leg to get the neck involved. Just giving all those organs a little wringing out. A little mild spinal twist. And then untwisting all that. Coming back around. Let's bring that hip back toward the ground and bring both arms on the inside of that front leg for a nice deeper lunge. And then bring weight onto those hands and bring that front foot back to meet the back foot. And palms nice and strong, fingers are wide, pushing the hips back toward the wall behind and pressing down in those heels. Pressing the heart toward the center of the earth. Nice and straight, long line from the fingertips out the tailbone. You can imagine tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head. That increases that stretch up the backs of the legs. Let's bend the right knee and press more into that left heel. And then bend the left knee and press more into the right. And again, one more time on each side, bending the right, pressing into the left. Bending the left, pressing into the right. And then pressing back into both heels. Again, shifting the hips back as far as possible. This is Adho Mukha Asana, or downward facing dog. Give you permission to sigh freely. It's good for you. Try it. And then when you're ready, we're going to step forward with that left foot in between the hands into a nice deep lunge. Adjust as need be. Slide that back foot out a little more. I like to give a little bounce on my lunges. Some people don't like to bounce, and I say, if you don't like to bounce, don't bounce. If you do like to bounce, then bounce. Keeping up with the breathing and the sighing, pushing into that back heel. If you want to get fancy about it. Let's pull that back foot forward just a little bit and then straighten the front leg. Still pulling those hips onto the perpendicular line, and aim your chin for your toes. Nice and long upper body draped over a long lower body. Just enjoying an additional stretch there. Let's slide those out. I'm going to do that supported. So I call this a splits-ish stretch. Make sure you listen to your own body. Don't do anything that hurts. It's good to, it's a good part of the routine to add regularly. Just checking in with the flexibility. And then sliding that front foot back in to gain some traction, and then stepping forward with the back foot. Let's hang here in forward fold, just letting gravity do some unwinding. Bending from the hips, which is where your legs go into the hip sockets, not the waist, which would be way up here. Instead, all the way down to the hips. In fact, for contrast, let's pull up in the waist. I like to call this giving yourself a hug. Start with left elbow over right. And just squeeze those shoulders if you can. Pulling the shoulder blades apart. Tucking the chin and the tailbone. Pulling in the abdomen. Nice rounding, curved back. Just feeling into that rounding, both from side to side and from front to back. Giving a nice squeeze to those shoulders. And then breathe in real deep into anywhere you feel tension. And then just release that again all the way from the hips. Let gravity do some unwinding. And when you're ready, bend your knees, swing your arms back. Come into a counter stretch, lifting your arms and eyes and chest to the sky. Push the hips forward a little bit if you want to deepen that. Still with the breathing and the smiling. And then bringing the hands together and back down. Let's pause in Tadasana, or mountain pose. I like to wiggle those shoulders around, letting go of some more tension. Whew, I got a lot in there. And then now let's step back with the other foot. For me, that's the right. I always start on the left, but it really doesn't matter. Just try to be consistent and fair to both sides. And again, we're going to pull the back hip forward, forward hip back, looking for a relatively perpendicular line to our parallel feet. You can check in that the knee isn't crunching too far past the toes, and adjust accordingly. Pushing into that back heel, nice and strong. Let's bring those hands up again and down in front. Roll the shoulders down and back. And again, sharp focus on the fingertips. And then I like to blink and look out at the horizon, soft eyes, noticing the peripheral view. And then again, sharp focus on the fingertips. Tucking the tailbone under, nice and long and strong through the core. Soft eyes again out at the horizon, checking in on the peripheral view. And then sharp focus again on the fingertips, and let's adjust that back heel onto the perpendicular line, opening the hips, and with the eyes, if you can, follow that finger across the body or across an arc over the body. That's real good for testing your balance, developing your balance. Then checking in one hand and then the other. This knee is swinging toward the wall behind, so you have a real hip opening sensation here. And then let's slide that long leg out, bending from the hip, come into that side twisting triangle pose. Left arm and leg against each other for torque and support. Right arm up in the air, gazing up past those fingertips. And then for an additional twist, bring that arm around, reach for that opposite thigh, and look out past that long leg. Just giving all the organs a little hug, checking in with the spine, working on the strength there. And then unwind all that, bring your hip back toward the floor, coming up onto that toe. Palms are nice and strong. My leg is shaky. It's been sitting too much, I'm just noticing that. Bringing weight onto the hands, let's bring that front foot back to meet the back foot. And again, pressing back through the palms, straight line through the spine, pressing down in the heels, back in the hips. I want to bring the knees down into Uttanasana Shishosana, or extended puppy pose. Let those toes go, and you slide the arms out as you keep the lower body at about a 90-degree angle, aiming the forehead for the floor. That just gives a nice stretch through the shoulders. Make sure you're following your own lead, listening to your own body. Don't do anything that's too much, but also don't be afraid to push about 4% past your comfort zone. I like to just rest here for a breath or two and give the shoulders and chest a little time to unwind some of that tension. Trying to relax the muscles so it becomes a passive stretch there. The lower body is still active. And then when you're ready, lift the forehead, walk the hands back, come into all fours. Hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. Let's pull up into Marjariyasana or cat pose, pulling up in the abdomen, tucking the tailbone and the chin, rounding the spine again, pushing through the palms, exhaling, pulling up in the abdomen. It's called cat pose or Marjariyasana, and then it's often paired with cow or Bitilasana, lifting the chest, lifting the tailbone, breathing into the belly, and then exhaling again into cat. Let's do a couple more of those. Breathing in into cow, lifting the chest, lifting the eyes, lifting the chin, and then exhale. Really pressing up in the abdomen, tucking the tailbone, rounding the spine. Breathing in into Bitilasana. And then let's come back to neutral. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips again, pushing back through the palms into the hips. Hips are pressing to the wall behind, pressing down into the heels. And then when you're ready, we're going to step forward with the right foot this time, in between the hands. Adjust as need be, slide that back foot back. Hands are on either side of that front foot for a nice deep lunge. If you want to give it a little bounce, do that. And then I'm going to draw that back foot forward just a little bit so I can straighten that front leg. And again, still pulling the hips onto that perpendicular line. Now aiming the chin for the toes. Nice and long upper body over a nice long lower body. Don't forget to breathe and smile, whatever else you're doing. And then let's support the weight with the hands as you slide both legs out into a splits-ish position, if that's comfortable. I like to rock that back and forth a little bit, just exploring that stretch. I say splits-ish because it's definitely not a splits, but it's a splits-ish stretch. I encourage you to explore what feels good in your body. And then when you're ready, I usually start by pulling that front foot forward a little bit, bring weight onto that, and then step forward with the back foot and hang here again in forward fold. Just letting gravity do some unwinding. Let's bend the knees, swing the arms back, come into that counter stretch again, lifting the eyes and arms and chest to the sky, pushing the hips forward. Bring hands up and then back down. Check in with the shoulders, roll them down and back a little bit. Checking in with the center of gravity. Feet are nice and relaxed and rooted into the earth. Hips are nice and relaxed and over the ankles. Shoulders are nice and relaxed and over the hips. Chin is tucked back just a little bit so that the back of the neck is nice and long. I like to imagine I'm being kind of hung between the center of the universe and the center of the earth. Let's do a couple shoulder shrugs there, just breathing in and shrugging up. Nice pop there. Just letting it go, shaking it out. Let's do a couple more of those. Breathing in, shrugging up. You can get the fingers and the toes and the pelvic floor involved. Tense up and breathe in a little bit more and hold it. And then just let it go. I encourage you to include some funny noises or a heavy sigh because it's good for you. Let's do again, shrugging up, pulling everything up, dancing up, breathing in a little bit more and holding it. Just letting that go, letting the arms swing. Let's do a little more free arm as swinging. I think I'm going to come back for round 2, but I like to keep these nice and short so that you can remember it doesn't have to take a long time to check in with your body. There's not one right way or one wrong way. There are many right ways and many wrong ways, and only you can know what's right for you. And the best way to do that is to explore, to experiment, to stay curious, courageous, and free. I hope to inspire you to be more fit, curious, and courageous as well. I am grateful that you are you and you let me be me. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that helps me out a lot and I appreciate it. And until next time, I'll be seeing you. Ciao for now. Peace.